Welcome to the Dog Show with me, Claudia. Hey everybody, it's Claudia. Welcome back to the Dog Show. In this week's episode, chaos has ensued. I have my good friend Maggi Burtt, professional dog trainer from Tailspin Petworks. We have a lovely puppy, Chappie, or Chaplin, and we have my very well-trained but very loud Labrador Retriever, Staghorn's Black, Magic, and I call him Magic. Say hi. He's saying hi to everyone. All right, Magic, let's get up and do something here. Front. So today we're going to talk a little bit about socialization, and that includes meeting people as well as meeting other dogs. So Maggie, talk to us a little bit about socialization and how you introduce dogs.
Well, socialization in general is not about dogs, though that's part of it. With puppies, socialization, their first 16 weeks is crucial for them to be introduced to as many things as possible in a positive way, so that when their natural instinct to be suspicious pops in, that we do not have as much fear. So when introducing dogs, we have to make sure that one, the puppy is under control, and that the older dog is tolerant of puppies, which he can be, except that there's food in position. So we want to make sure that the puppy is safely hanging out without actually interacting with Magic. People will think that this has to be a meet and greet. It does not. Basically what it means is puppy gets to hang out with another dog without interacting with them. Socialization in other cases is about meeting people of different kinds, which means tall, young, little, big, overweight, beards, sunglasses, white people, black people, all of those things, and sounds, surfaces, and things in the world that happen, so traffic, bicycles, etc. The idea is to teach your puppy that all of these things are normal, and that socialization means introductions to new things, not having a play session. So with a puppy like this, who is obviously a dog who's going to need grooming, part of his socialization would also include getting him used to being brushed, getting him used to being touched in places that he would have to be touched when people were doing nails and grooming and so on and so forth. And that all has to be done as positively as possible, using lots of rewards and lots of patience.
And for those watching at home, what I'm doing with Magic is, you probably think I'm just stuffing him full of treats, but actually what I'm doing is I'm rewarding Magic for not barking, not whining, and not disturbing the puppy. And I'm giving him, and this is something we talked about in our previous episode, I'm giving him another behavior to do. I'm extending my hand so he can do a hand touch. And we showed you last time how to teach your puppy a hand touch. Magic has been doing hand touches a long time. And you'll notice I'm changing the level of my hand, and I'm going to give him a reward at the end of several hand touches, because he's a well-trained dog and he knows these behaviors, so he has to do more work to get rewarded. So I can ask Magic to do a behavior. He may offer a behavior. Right now he's offering his dog show stand, or a version of it, and he thinks he's going to get a treat for that, and that's why he gave me a little whine. Yes, so I'm going to mark his show stand with a yes and give him a treat. And then I'll ask him to do something else, like a sit. Maggie, do you teach puppies to sit?
I generally don't. I know that sounds odd, but most puppies will sit on their own, and people will reward them, and then the dog does it again, because that's how reinforcement works. I tend to focus much more on things that I will need long term. Like I said, handling, training safety behaviors like drop it and leave it and come, things like that.
And what behavior is Magic doing right now?
Well, he's doing a sit, and he's also giving you eye contact.
Yeah, because I've moved the treat behind my back.
Because he wants the chicken.
We all want the chicken, but I'm waiting. See, he's looking at my hand. There, in that moment, he looked at my eyes.
Exactly.
And I should have said yes, but I was too slow. And that attention is how you teach that. You don't reward that demand barking, but what you can reward.
We're going to choke on a cookie now.
Don't do that.
This happens a lot.
This is real life, folks. This isn't scripted. So yeah, so I put the treat behind my back and he looks at me, yes. I mark that with a yes and I give him the treat. And this is the great thing about training dogs is people think you have to be outside running around with a 10-foot leash or a 6-foot leash, walking. That's not true. You can be, challenged physically in some kind of way, and you can be sitting at home too, relaxing, watching your television. You can be training your dog. Like this attention behavior, you can sit down with a bunch of treats, and every time the dog does what Magic is doing, yes, is you reward it and mark it with a treat. Now, one of the things we talked about last time too was having people into your home. And I asked you about teaching this puppy to go to a mat. And you said, well, maybe we're not quite ready for that.
We're not ready for that yet.
Okay, so we have a semblance of a mat, and maybe you could tell me, how do we teach a dog to go to a mat and why that's a useful behavior?
Okay, well, when I teach it, I have a bunch of different things that we do to get it started, because I like to shape it, which is a terminology that we can come into another time. But basically, the easiest way to do it is you would lead your dog over to the mat and ask them to lie down on it. And then you would reward. But the trick is you don't reward to the dog's face. You put the food on the mat so that they eat it off the mat. So you're making an association with the mat.
In the dog's brain.
In the dog's brain.
Got it.
Or in the people's brain.
Yeah.
If that's,
and some people might reward if I walked him by and he touched the mat. They might reward that too.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
But that, again, that would be the shaping side of it, which is a little bit more complicated, but I prefer because I think the dog learns it better.
Okay.
But it's a 20-minute procedure. It's a little much for on the show.
Okay, so let's see what we can do with this. Let's go over to the mat. Magic, let's go. As I said.
I'm down now, man. This is hard work. Yes. Okay, getting cookies out for the
Yes. There you go.
Good boy.
So he's on the mat, and I did it wrong. See? I didn't
do it
reward to the
wrong.
mat.
That's
I rewarded
habit.
to the face.
That's a habit from other training. That's all. It's not wrong. It's
Okay.
just easier if you use
But
it
he's
on the
quite
mat.
happy to hang out on the mat, and that's because he's an older dog. Magic is 10 years old, and he's comfortable doing that. So it's a lot easier to teach this kind of behavior to an older dog, but you want to teach it when the dog is younger. So it'll take more than one try. So then we'll break it off. Come on, Madge, let's go. Good job. All right. And I also, do you talk to your dogs all the time when you're working with them? Because I do.
Yes and no. It depends
Okay.
on what I'm working on. I like to do encouragement. I'm a person who talks a lot. It's a thing. But sometimes if I'm doing something that I really need the dog to focus on, I try not to talk as much. And I try to be very aware of what my body is saying, because the dogs pick up on that as well. Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
good boy. That's
Yes.
lovely.
So
Now, the
he's
thing that
also
you're seeing here is a dog who has done enough training that he's like, oh, this is the thing? This is what we're doing? That's why teaching your puppy early makes a difference, because it makes it easier to train new things.
And yeah, and the thing about some breeds, the Labrador Retriever is a breed of dog that likes to work and likes to train. And also critical for Magic and also his owner, Magic and I are both highly motivated by food. You offer me a cake and I'll do a lot. Magic, you offer him a piece of chicken and he's your best friend. You can take the silverware and he'll also work very hard to get it. You notice he hasn't gotten anything, hasn't gotten up off the mat because he's still thinking food might arrive. He's hopeful because I've got chicken in my pocket. That could be a song, chicken in my pocket.
It could be.
So Maggie, what do you recommend people do with a cute puppy like Chaplin here when they want to start exposing them to different situations? Do you think they should wait till they've had all their shots, or should they go out right away in some environments?
Both.
Okay.
Explain
Explain that, please.
Generally, puppies don't have all of their vaccines till they're about 16 weeks. The problem, of course, with that is that the socialization period ends at 16 weeks, which means you've missed the bus. Not completely, it doesn't, slam shut. But what we need to do is find ways to safely take our puppy out in the world, even though they don't have vaccines. So that means choosing places that don't have a lot of dogs frequenting, like dog parks and places like that. Making sure you carry your puppy places, or you can use you can take them in the car and sit in the car and watch people go by and things like that, because again, they don't have to interact. The idea is just to get them accustomed to seeing and hearing things. So there's lots of ways you can do it. You do not keep your puppy in your house for 4 months. It's just not good. Long term, you're going to have more problems. Veterinary behaviorists really, really encourage people to go to well-run, safe classes from 8 weeks and up. So,
Okay. Well, that's great advice, and I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think the sooner, if I understand you, the sooner the puppies are exposed to things, the less likely you'll have problems with fear and anxiety later on.
exactly. Exactly.
That's
Life is stressful. We don't need stressy.
Thank you so much, Maggie. Thank you, Magic. Thank you, Chaplain. And thank you for watching. Hey everyone, I'm here again with the amazing Dr. Alexandra Bedford. Hi Alex, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Very well. Today we're going to talk about a very important topic that we all who own dogs notice and live with, and that is our older dogs. We've talked about bringing home a new puppy. Let's talk about the changes that we see in our older dogs. First of all, when is a dog considered to be like an older dog? When should we start making some changes related to aging?
The short answer is it depends on the breed.
Okay.
Larger breeds like Great Danes are considered old when they're 7 or 8. A
Yes.
Chihuahua or a Bichon Frise doesn't really get up there until they're about 13 or 14. You know, between 7 and 12 is middle age for a smaller dog. Having said that, the breed also determines what you really need to address as they get older. But one thing you need to make sure that you pay attention to for all dogs, big or small, is making sure they do not get fat as they age. Because as
Just like people.
We're not supposed to say that. But fat is inflammation, and inflammation is disease. You can prevent a lot of the age-related diseases that we're going to talk about just by preventing your dog from getting fat. And that starts from a year of age. And that's determined by what you feed them. Feed them a good quality dog food and don't feed them too much. Don't feed them any human food other than healthy fruits and veggies. And if you have any question about what is toxic and what is healthy, there's lots of information online. Poison Control has a great access to a lot of information about that if you have a question about that. Grapes is a big one, not to feed your dog. So once you've picked a good dog food and you're feeding only that dog food, then you have to make sure that they're getting a lot of exercise. A common thing that happens with dogs as they age is loss of muscle mass. Exercise like swimming, aerobic exercise is important to maintain that muscle mass as they age. You would be surprised how quickly osteoarthritis sets up shop in dogs. Even a dog of 4 or 5 can have the beginning of osteoarthritis. And while they may not be showing any signs of pain, then it's coming. Osteoarthritis is considered to be a silent killer because, especially with larger dogs, if they can't move, they can't get up and go outside to pee, they really don't have any quality of life. They're not enjoying being around anymore. So there are many things that we can do as they age to prevent the pain that comes along with osteoarthritis. Librela is a reasonably new monoclonal antibody medication that just came out in the past couple of years, made by Zoetis. It is extremely effective at preventing osteoarthritic pain in dogs. It's an injection that's given once a month. And the more you give it, the more effective it is. It targets nerve growth factor, which is a big problem with the pain associated with osteoarthritis. Other things you can do are high-dose fish oil, just like in humans. And by high dose, I'm talking about 300 milligram per kilogram. In a 10-pound dog, that would be about 1,000 milligrams of fish oil daily. Now, you don't want to just go straight to 1,000 milligrams because you may end up with loose stool all over your
I was
house.
going to say fishy diarrhea, I would think.
Fishy diarrhea. So start small, start at 100, go up to 2 and see what they will tolerate. But it isn't until you get up to the really high doses of fish oil that you get the anti-inflammatory effects. And that's important when you're going to prevent the pain associated with osteoarthritis and the inflammation. As we were talking about with fat, inflammation is disease. So the key thing you want to do is reduce the incidence of inflammation of all kinds. Diet is a huge one. Make sure you're feeding them an anti-inflammatory diet. That means one that has as few chemicals. Personally, I would recommend, and I always do recommend, avoiding over-the-counter grocery store brands. They tend to be inferior quality to those that you can get in a pet food store. And there's some brands that are better than others. I was going to talk about Adequan. Adequan is an injection that we give to dogs that will increase the viscosity and the quality of the joint fluid. It's an injection that's given twice a week for the first month, and then you can give it monthly thereafter. It's a polysulfated glycosaminoglycan. It's very effective at preventing inflammation in joints, which can be a big problem when dogs are getting older. The bottom line is, as your dog's getting older, you want to prevent pain, because if they're in pain, they will not move around. If they don't move around, they'll get fat and they'll lose muscle mass, which reduces quality of life. And it will also reduce their life expectancy as well.
Absolutely. So the other thing I was going to ask is, so if you've had a dog who, my breed has tendency to gain weight. It's funny. There's a picture some veterinarians have where they're looking down,
Right.
Is your dog fat? And the dog that's used in the diagram to show the fat dog is always a yellow lab. And, I think that's unfair,
Yes.
but also there's probably a reason for it. So can you make these changes? Maybe you didn't do this earlier on. It's never too late, assuming you can make these changes as soon as you appreciate that your dog is overweight, correct? You can
Correct.
start.
You can start at any age. One thing I would always do in an older dog that is fat is check their thyroid. I have clients coming in and they say that they're barely feeding their dogs anything, and yet they still cannot lose weight in spite of that and in spite of exercise. Sometimes it is because their thyroid is low. They are hypothyroid. And in that case, we can give them a supplement. Often that solves the problem. But if they do have a normal thyroid, then it is just a case of simple math. Too many calories in, not enough calories out will result in a fat dog. You just have to stop feeding them as much and exercise more.
Yeah, that just like with people, inflammation, not good. Eating
Correct.
a healthy diet, good. Not a lot of processed foods and chemicals.
Yes.
And the other thing I was going to ask is sometimes people, their dogs, like, 14, 15, they think about getting a new puppy. And of course, the personification that we do, we tend to think, well, there'll be jealousy. How do you find that older dogs respond to having a puppy in the house?
I think it depends on the personality of the dog. It depends if they have any concurrent comorbidities, like pain associated with osteoarthritis. Dogs that are in pain tend to be grumpy dogs. So before you get a puppy, make sure you've addressed any issues that your older dog might have that might cause him to have less than stellar behavior when a new puppy comes in and wants to jump on him and chew on his ears. Then introduce them slowly. I think that you will find generally they become best buddies. And in a lot of cases, an energetic young puppy will breathe new life into an older dog.
Yeah, I think that's very true. That's certainly the experience that I've had. The other thing I wanted to ask you about in this segment is, should we start to ask our veterinarian to check for things like heart disease or cancer when our dog gets to a certain age or not?
Absolutely. It is part of every annual physical exam, which is why it's so important to take your dog to the veterinarian once a year. Having said that, things can pop up in those 12 months in between your visits. So make sure you're always feeling up your dog for any new lumps and bumps on the skin or under the skin. A big thing to make sure that you take care of is oral health as well. Oral disease and bad teeth are a big cause of pain in dogs. Pain that a lot of people don't recognize. Dogs are hardwired evolutionarily not to show pain. Because generally, if you're a dog and you show pain, you either get kicked out of the pack and or eaten by your pack. So they're hardwired not to show pain. I've seen a lot of dogs whose teeth are literally rotting out of their heads. They're trotting around quite happily, eating, and you would never know. And their owners generally don't look in their mouth to see until I look in and point it out. So oral pain is a biggie to make sure that they don't have.
So once again, thank you, Dr. Bedford, and we will see you soon. Hey, everybody. Today on The Dog Show, we are privileged to have with us the first female tennis player admitted to Canada's Sports Hall of Fame, Wimbledon semi-finalist, top 8 in the world professional tennis player. I think the first Canadian athlete in tennis ever to be in the top 10 in the world, Carling Bassett-Seguso, with her lovely dog, Ida. Welcome, Carling.
Oh, well, thank you. I forgot all those titles there. Thank you for readdressing that, making me feel a little better today.
Oh, no, that's great. That's great. And I see you have with you, who's this?
This is Ida.
Aw.
Yep. Yeah, she's amazing. She's probably the most expensive dog we've ever owned because as a puppy, she literally ate through drywall, all my shoes. You couldn't contain this one, but now she's a sweetheart.
Oh my goodness. And how old is Ida now?
Ida is just a little over 2, but she's a prima donna. Yeah.
And what made you choose, and she's a liver spotted Dalmatian. What made you choose Dalmatian for your family?
Well, you know, my best friend, they're one of the largest vet clinics in the country and also breeders, et cetera. And then they bred a litter of Dalmatians, and I was in no mood to get a Dalmatian because I heard how much work they were, but she was the run of the litter. And my 2 little girls said, Mom, you can't believe what this little puppy's doing. She was literally opening up the gates with her paw, like one of those little latches, for all the other puppies. And she was the runt, and she was the only liver, and she had these 2 incredible eyes. And I was like, yeah. So of course my girls have me go there every day. And my girlfriend said, listen, if you don't take her, I'm taking her because she's really, really special. And see, there she is.
She's beautiful. She's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, and it's interesting because she's been asked by so many people. You know, they're doing a little pickleball book about her. You know, she's been on the cover of one of the largest vet insurance companies, and all just so randomly, like me posting a picture with her either on Facebook or Instagram. So yeah, she's definitely been a wonderful addition. I mean, an expensive addition, but a wonderful one.
Oh, believe me, I have Labrador retrievers, and they're also known for their eating of everything. So we had socks, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
But they're great dogs. The labs are just, I mean, they're like people.
Yeah.
You know, they're animals to me are just the greatest aphrodisiac. And I think for families, for mental health, we just actually rescued a kitty, and her name is Dinks, Pickle Dinks Reset, right behind the pickleball courts. There's a bunch of strays there. So, we're having a good time.
And what difference has it made in your family and your family's mental health and well-being to have a dog like Ida in your home?
Well, let's just say we needed a lot of help at the beginning. I mean, this dog has literally cost us like 30 grand because we were renting a house and she destroyed everything down to all the furniture, and the furniture was expensive. The outside, all the outside, it was, I've never seen a dog the way she was. And she was off the charts like she was on crack or something. She was so hyper. And I'd have to take her to the dog park like twice a day. Then I'd have to run her another hour. Now she's like a moo. She wouldn't, it's like she's so chill. Like I take her to the dog park and she looks at the other dogs and goes, I don't think so. Bring the good looking. As soon as the good looking ones come in, she not pays a little attention. But yeah, she's been amazing. You know, my girls are animal freaks because we grew up with the horses, and my girlfriend who has a gazillion animals. We had ferrets. We raised ducks last year. Yeah, turtles. I mean, I think we've had it all. The worst was the bunny though, because those things you got, oh my God, that only lasted about 3 months.
Now, did you do any obedience training with Ida?
No, still naughty. She jumps on everybody and kisses them. Like she doesn't have a mean bone in her body. She is so loyal. Like she doesn't stray at all from the house, like very far. You know, she's a very needy dog. She gets so much love. The girls, you know, are just amazing with her. And, you know, she's just like I literally, she puts her like paw around my neck. She does so many characteristics like that we do. The way she sleeps sometimes, you know, when she sleeps on me, she's like hugging me. And, you know, I don't let her too much on the bed because she's like attached to you.
She's like Velcro. My dog's Velcro.
Yeah, she's like Velcro, exactly. That or that the permanent glue. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, I saw a picture of Ida with a pickleball in her mouth on Facebook you posted, and someone made that into a beautiful.
I know. Can you believe that? Yes. And the craziest thing was I was playing in San Clemente last year, and she saw that I was playing in the tournament. So she flew out all the way from Canada with her husband to come watch me and meet me. And now, interestingly so, she's a really, really cool lady. She was in the music industry and an artist. So she has this theme of pickleball books for kids. And so now she's doing one on Ida. But she's really creative with the social media stuff too. So she's going to start helping me when I get a little further along in my pickle career. I mean, this whole world of pickleball is just insane. They say it's like all fun and games. It's friggin' brutal. Like I mean, it's a blast. Don't get me wrong, but it is extremely serious, especially in South Florida. It's very intense.
Well, Carling, we have to wrap this up, but I have to thank you so much. Can we get one more shot of Ida, or is she taken off for parts?
Oh, God. Oh, you know what? Here we go. There she is.
Okay, Ida, thank you. You've been a lovely guest. I love your eyes. Carling, you're an amazing guest. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best in your pickleball journey, and you're getting people like me interested, and hopefully people.
That's the whole point. That makes me, by the way, that makes me happier than anything, is when people just step into the sport, and then I just said, let it go. Take it to wherever. I mean, it's limited. You can go wherever you want with pickleball because it's so unfiltered. There's no rules really yet.
Yeah.
Well, if there are, I don't listen to them.
Fair. I know what you mean, though. Carling, thank you for making the time. I know how busy you are. Have a great rest of your Monday and a great week. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.